and welcome to the Romance Edit November edition. It's also a Christmas edition. I'm Soraya and I'm an editor for Boon Romance.
And I'm Hannah. I'm editor for Boon Historical, and yeah, 'tis the season, as Soraya said, so we're very excited to talk about some Christmassy books and some not Christmassy books as well, so yeah, super excited to dive in. So first up, I am going to quiz Soraya a bit about our November titles. So Soraya, please bear with me whilst I go straight into fangirl mode. I feel like every time I talk about this author, I'm just like, I am president of the fan club. I'm ready. I've got my quotes, I've got my reviews, I'm ready to sing her praises in every way I can. So I'm so excited to be starting our November recommendations with Caribbean Courtships by Lydia and Traci, the one and only. So this author's work has been described by the New York Times as sweet and satisfying, and by Booklist as filled with flair and finesse. So can I ask you to talk about Compromise into a Scandalous Marriage and Alliance with the Stolen Heiress, the two titles which are in this must-read Boon Historical Anthology, Caribbean Courtships?
Yes, sure. So before we get started on the stories, can we just talk about how beautiful the cover is? Because this just came in, and if you don't know, it's got two books in one. It's got both stories in it, so you should buy it. And like, I just can't stop staring at it.
It's just so beautiful. I remember like when we get all the images of when the photo shoots have happened for these covers, and I remember when this came in and I was like, I'm just so in love. Like, it's just so beautiful.
And they're both so equally hot that I don't know who I'm jealous of.
No, I know. I'm like, they're both there. I am like, oh, if only I was them, because they are beautiful.
All right, so Compromised into a Scandalous Marriage is it's set in the Dominican Republic in 1905.
1905.
I'm terrible with history, so it's not called 1900s, is it?
So we kind of roughly call it 1900, but it's really
okay.
that like turn of the century, like 1905 kind of.
Okay. So it was like before the Titanic sank.
Mm-hmm.
That's my frame of mind when I remember all the time periods correctly. And it's about Paulina, who is found in a compromised position with a it's a sugar farmer, right? It's been so long since I read it that now I'm like, oh god, I need to refresh my mind. And yes, and his name is Sebastian. Like I said, as you can see, both equally hot. And basically they're forced into a marriage where they don't like each other, so enemies to lovers, babes. This one is for you. And basically they've both agreed that they're not going to consummate the marriage and they're going to work towards getting an annulment, and you obviously know that that's not going to turn out the way that they planned, because they're going to fall in love. It's really great. It's gorgeous writing. It was Lydia's debut, and as Hannah already said, it was reviewed by the New York Times, and it's a gorgeous addition to the historical line. And her second book, would you call it, it's a sophomore, right?
Yeah,
sophomore,
yeah, I think so. I always get confused, you know, with like high school terminology in America, like because it's not like what we use day to day, I always get a bit confused, but like I'm 90% sure it's sophomore.
It's sophomore, yeah. It's sophomore. Or if you're a K-pop fan, you would call it a comeback.
Yeah, this is Lydia and this is comeback.
Yes,
so it's like, if you're a BTS fan, this is the second album.
So this one is about Amalia and Julian. Oh my god.
This is when like we were talking about this, and it's so weird because obviously when you see the book to when we see the book, like a whole year has passed, or a whole 2 years. So like whilst the excitement remains and like you remember the feeling of being like, this is just like the most amazing book we've ever read. Sometimes you're like, there's so many books that have passed through your brain, you have to give yourself a little bit of a recap.
Yeah, bearing in mind we publish 25 books a month and we read and edit them all a year in advance. So by the time you get it, I've worked on like 60 books in that year. So my brain is like overloading with so much romance and so much good spicy scenes. So yeah, it's about Julian and it's about Amalia. And Amalia is an heiress who's trying to escape her shitty evil uncle. And basically she plans a fake kidnapping to get away from him and to get her fortune back as ransom. But what she doesn't expect is for her uncle to be like, I don't care enough about you to give all your money to this bandit, this hot bandit, by the way. And so basically he's taken her little sister and he plans to marry her off so he can steal both their fortunes. And now Amalia and Julian have to work together to basically rescue her sister. So it's like, you know, it's got great adventure. It's got lots of traveling on a steamboat as well. And also Julian's, I was about to spoil it, oh my god. Ignore everything I'm just about to say. But Julian's hiding a secret, and so like it's leading up to something that's really like heart-stopping, but there's like, you know, fun action in it, and always, as always, Lydia writes amazing chemistry.
It's so good. And I feel like what I love about her is like that the chemistry and like the adventure are like equally amazing. And like 1 minute you're like swooning, the next minute your heart is like racing from like the adventure. Like she does it so well in combination.
For a 70,000 word book, she packs in so much that like keeps you on your toes. It's to the point where it's like, oh, if I could have a 100,000 word book from her, I'd like read it.
No, it's like, so I feel like it's just a testament to like what an amazing writer she is, that she can fill that much in one book and you feel like you're so satisfied and that you're getting everything you want from her titles. So yeah, she's just amazing.
It's so good.
So
it's really hot in this room, by the way. I'm so conscious of the fact my moustache is sweating.
I'm really worried. I've just got a fringe and I feel like it's gonna slowly like just stick to my head like the more sweaty I get. So yeah, please bear with us. So moving on from the amazing Lydia San Andres, I would love to get us a little bit in the festive spirit and talk about the Christmas Pact trilogy. So this features Mistletoe Magic in Tahiti by Kandy Shepherd, Cinderella's Costa Rica Adventure by Scarlet Wilson, and last but not least, a Snowbound Reunion in Japan by Nina Milne. So why does this Harlequin romance miniseries provide the perfect winter escape for readers?
It gives people a bit of everything, basically. So you get like a hot tropical Christmas story, and you get like a snowbound snowy like Christmas story, basically. And Kandy's my author, so I'm going to start with her first. So basically the Christmas Pact, before I get ahead of myself, I realised I was going to skip the whole premise. So this is about a trilogy of sisters who don't have any plans to stay home for Christmas holiday, so they make a pact that they're all going to jump out of their comfort zones and do something a little bit more adventurous than they usually do. So they all decide to spend Christmas on a different island / country, basically, and they try to encourage each other to do things that they usually wouldn't do. So it starts off with my author Kandy Shepherd's one, Mistletoe Magic in Tahiti, which is such a great title. When she sent it over, when she sent over the first draft of the book, that was the title. And I was like, oh my god, I don't want to change anything about the title. It's so good.
I feel like sometimes authors just come up with like the perfect one on their own. So like to give you a bit of an insight, as editors we will often come up with titles for the books, but sometimes authors know their stories best, and this is like such an instance of where you're like, you've done it, you've nailed it.
It was the perfect thing. So as Hannah was saying, like we do come up with titles a lot just because there's so many that we publish in the month that we want to make sure that they've all got something a little bit different and individual about them, so that it's widespread enough that you also know what you're getting with the story. But like I said, usually when I get a first draft in, it will be like the character's name, draft 1. But that one was there, it was done. I was like, I don't need to do anything else with this title. This is perfect. So I was like, it got me into the Christmas mood. I read this like over the summer as well. So I was like, oh, that's another thing for you. When you read a Christmas book that's come out in November or December, we've most likely read it a year in advance in the summer. So I'm always in the Christmas mood because I love Christmas.
Like, like how Christmas in July is a thing. I feel like that is so much a part of our life as editors. We have like 2 Christmases, so you get your July Christmas and then you get your winter Christmas as well.
Exactly. So like I said, because this one is set in Tahiti, you can read it over the summer if you want a good summer read, and you can read it over Christmas if you're looking for a good Christmas read. But basically it's about Sienna. She's just post-divorce, so she wants to get back out there. She wants to rediscover who she is. So she goes to Tahiti for Christmas, and she's like, I want to try stuff I've never tried before. So she tries kite surfing and stuff like that, and that's how she meets Kai, who is he's a secret billionaire. I don't know how much of a secret billionaire you can be, because I feel like if you're a billionaire you scream wealth.
I feel like he kind of screams from the face.
He owns all the water sports activity centres basically on the island, and he obviously thinks Sienna is super hot and super beautiful and super lovely. So he's like, I'm going to teach you how to do all these water sports, and they end up spending lots of time together over that period of like the summer Christmas time. And it's a lovely story. Kandy's really good at writing like tropical island stories because she's always been there before. She's one of those great authors who like she writes from experience, so she'll try all these amazing adventurous things and then she'll infuse them into her romance stories. So it's always like a nice little piece of like authenticity there. So
that sounds amazing, and yeah, I feel like it's, if you're looking, you know, like here at the moment, if you look out the window where we are, it's absolutely tipping it down. It's very windy. If you're looking for a summer escape, then I think that's the perfect one to go with. As a bit of sunshine, and it's the rainy days of winter.
And then the next one is the Cinderella's Costa Rican Adventure by Scarlet Wilson. I love that title as well, by the way. It's got like a good location and it's got a Cinderella title in there.
You're like, I love a Cinderella.
Yeah, me too. Cinderella is giving you pretty much what the title says, like essentially like, I was going to say rags to riches, but does it count as rags to riches if they're Cinderella from the start?
I feel like it can be like a rags to riches, like it can be like a few different things, but definitely rags to riches for sure.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, sorry. So Cinderella, like, you know, she comes from a poorer background basically compared to like the millionaire slash billionaire. Billionaires more, please. But what is it we call them? Moral billionaires. Not the ones who like own Amazon and like violate rights and stuff like that. They're conscious billionaires is what we like to call them.
We need strong moral compasses, please.
Yes, strong moral compasses, but you can't be broke in the world of Harlequin and Milne Boon romance.
We had an author come in yesterday and she normally writes stories with billionaires, and she's made a move to do some rom-coms with more ordinary people, shall we say. And she was like, I just don't know what to do when you haven't got like an unlimited budget. Like,
yeah, it's so true. Like, if they're meant to like whisk you off and like show you all the amazing things in the world, they have to have obscene wealth.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I love me a good billionaire or a millionaire in Milne and Boon.
Yeah.
They're so good.
I just feel like it's like the escapism it gives
Yeah.
you. Like it's like a world that like obviously not many of us are living day to day in our
Exactly,
real lives. So it's very fun to step into it through a book, and I think that's why you like as readers love it so much. And yeah, being able to step into a different world that like we can only imagine, really.
Yeah, so if you're ever looking to write for us, or if you ever want to be an editor like in the Milne and Boon team, a lot of the time, apart from medicals, I'd say, a lot of the time, like, the readers, the classic readers or readers who are just joining it, like to come to it with like an expectation of escapism and like, you know, like glamorous, I want to say glamorous fantasy. That's what I think it's for. But yeah, sorry, we segued massively. So yeah, Cinderella's Costa Rican Adventure is about the other sister, Eliza, who obviously goes to Costa Rica, and she tries out lots of new adventurous things in terms of like, I was going to say safaris, but are safaris in Costa Rica? My geography is terrible.
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Well, I know she goes to the jungle and she tries to be super adventurous, basically. And she meets Matt, who is obviously a sexy man, because we don't do ugly men in our series. And he takes her on lots of new adventures. And it's, like I said, another great one to read like in the summer and in Christmas, because you get a bit of both worlds, basically. And then last but not least, it's, I love this, it's a second chance romance set in the snowy parts of Japan over Christmas, and it's called Snowbound Reunion in Japan. And it's the last sister who is, I was going to say she's an ex-lawyer, but she's not an ex-lawyer, she's a workaholic lawyer. So she's very like, you know, type A, straight-laced, and yeah, it's about Thea, who pretty much like, you know, knows that this is the time for her to relax, and this is a time that she has to force herself to relax, because as you see in any type of romance with like a super straight-laced type A person, they're sort of like encouraged to unwind by their love interest, don't you think? So yeah, and this is where her former childhood friend, tech billionaire of course, Zane comes in, and it's been a long time since they were together. and they end up actually being snowbound because of a snowstorm together, which forces them to like, you know, rehash all their old history, and that's I love it. I love it when like it's forced proximity.
Me too. I love like if it's like only one bed, snowbound, forced together is like my favourite thing.
Exactly.
And also when they've got like so much in their past that they've just never talked about, and like this is the moment where it all comes out.
Yeah.
It's my favourite thing to see play out on page.
They have nowhere else to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it. If you're gonna do like a snow story, do it properly and have a blizzard where no one can escape. In a romantic way, not in like a horror movie way where you're like, there's literally nowhere to escape when someone's after you. This is the cute version. On that note, actually, what's some of your favourite Christmas movies?
Oh, Christmas movie. Oh, I feel like I've got so many. Like I'm a big Christmas movie fan. I always like love a Hallmark Christmas film as well.
Yeah.
I always see what's coming out with the Netflix ones. I feel like Amazon Prime as well. They've had like a few
They've got
lately.
a few good ones, yeah.
I feel like my favourite ones. I love The Holiday. I'm a holiday
Yeah,
girl.
I'm a holiday enthusiast as well. It's so nice.
And then I do really like Love Actually, but I feel like as I'm getting older and the more I watch it, I feel like my thoughts on it are changing, and I know that's something like a lot of people talk about as well, and like people. And I kind of compare this a bit to like how I used to feel about Twilight and how I feel about Twilight now.
Oh my god, yeah.
And
In
like,
hindsight.
in hindsight, and like watching it, yeah, as an adult, sometimes you like the name of what's the name of Andrew something?
Andrew Lincoln's
character.
That was really creepy.
Yeah, and like when you think it's really romantic, and then in hindsight you're like, actually,
like bro, that's your best friend's wife. What are you doing? Also, I find it crazy that Keira Knightley was literally a teenager.
No, this is what, like it's to me like I thought she was so much older. I didn't realize she was literally like 17 or something. She was so young.
She's not that old from Thomas Brody Sangster as well in that movie, and he looks like he's 9 years old,
Literally.
which is crazy.
It
to
is
me.
wild like when you find out the age differences. But I feel like it's just one that you watch every year, so I feel like it's hard to like let go of it completely. Even though I am aware of the problematicness of it.
I can't look at it the same now because it just makes me so angry when I remember what Alan Rickman's character did to Emma Thompson. Like that moment where she opens the gift.
Yeah.
It's like splits me open in two.
Literally,
it's just so horrible.
I'm just like, I'll never forgive you. Like I just can't like it.
And like I'm like, God, what do you do? Like you've been married forever.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids. Do you just carry on with your life?
Yeah, it is.
I want romance. I want like forever in a good way, not in a sad way.
Yeah, 100%. How about you? What would you say are your favourite Christmas films?
I do love watching a Home Alone.
Yeah.
I love all the Home Alones, by the way, way beyond like Home Alone 1 and 2. I like Home Alone 3 is one of my rogue favourite Christmas movies just because it's so fun and so silly. What else? It's not a movie, but I love Dash and Lily.
I was gonna
the
say
Netflix show.
Literally, as you said, it's not a film. It's like I know exactly what you're gonna say.
It's so good.
It's just like to me, it's like a perfect TV show. Like it's so good.
And I want more. It's like Dash and Lily is like the perfect type of Christmas romance where like one's a grump and hates Christmas and one's like it's Grumpy Sunshine, like with Christmas themes to it, and it's just so nice. It warms my heart. I watch that every year now since it came out. I watch it every year.
My mum is like a huge fan as well because I watched it and I was like, Mum, you should watch it, and she was like, I loved it.
It was so good.
Also, I feel like I just really relate to Lily as a character. I met Lily as who I was as a kid, so like in a teenager. But
bearing in mind I'm Muslim and I don't actually celebrate Christmas, but I just love the vibes. The vibes are really good.
I think it's just like the energy, like it's just I think that's probably my favourite Christmas thing I've seen. Lately.
That's my favourite one of recent.
Yeah.
And do you know what though, actually, even though it's not a Christmas movie, part of it is set in like the ski slope, so it feels Christmassy. That new Amazon one called The Other Zoe.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
So like this girl basically is with, her name's Zoe obviously. She's with this guy who she knows at uni who gets like hit by a car, and it like it messes with his amnesia, and he mistakes her for his girlfriend who's also called Zoe, and they also look similar. So she plays along with it for a little while because they tell her, which is a ridiculous setup, but it's my favourite type of ridiculous setup because it makes no sense. And the doctor tells her to play along with it basically because they're like he's concussed, like it's really dangerous for him to have any sort of shocking news. And she also fancies his cousin, so she obviously goes along with it. I don't know how she thought that would end, for starters. Like okay, you're trying to move to the cousin. How do you do that while he thinks you're his cousin's girlfriend? But the guy who plays the boyfriend with amnesia is like perfect rom-com hero material. He's like, you know, if you don't watch it for anything else, watch it for him because he's so charming. And he's really sweet and also really funny, and he's got this great sarcastic humour that I love.
I love a sarcastic humour, so...
Yeah, there's a moment like early on in the movie where like she's very type A, and she's like taking something a bit too seriously, and he replies with sarcasm, and she thinks he's being serious, and then he like slowly smiles, and I started getting butterflies and like giggling. I was like, oh my god, what is happening to me?
You know when you feel like your face going up, and you're like, what am I doing? You're like,
I felt like my cheeks going red, and she kept a straight face, and I was thinking if I was acting in this, I would have started giggling when he did that. It was just that was so good.
Okay, I'm probably gonna have to watch that then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so most of the movie is set in a ski slope, so it gives you a Christmas
I feel like
feel,
that's
basically.
like the like speaking of films that are not Christmas but feel Christmassy, like Chalet Girl feels pretty great in the same.
They're like Christmas adjacent.
Yeah, so I think that's close enough.
That's a good one actually. Like, in terms of like Christmas adjacent, that is one.
So I feel like that's nice. Yeah.
I watched that so much when it first came out.
Like I feel like I've watched it like at least like 50 times. I've watched it, like it's just a good like comfort film. Like it's in the same vein of like Wild Child and like films like that too.
It is. It's really nice, and it's got a great emotional story. What's the actress called again?
Called Felicity Jones.
Yeah, she really shines in that actually, because like when she like addresses her grief about her mum, I like start tearing up so much.
I feel like it's for like what is probably only like a 90 to 100-minute film, like it really beautifully encapsulates the grief and like treats it
does.
like with like the time it needs, which is like so it's just so nice to watch.
It's really nice.
But I would also recommend there's a Norwegian TV series as well with two seasons I think called Home for Christmas.
Oh, that sounds nice.
And it's not like it has romantic elements, but I wouldn't say like it's a full romance. But it's about, I think she's either a doctor or a nurse, I can't remember, and it's all about kind of going home for Christmas when everyone else is in love and she's kind of the only single person, and kind of her romantic relationships, and I think it's just like it feels so real, so I would highly recommend that as well. And it's set in Norway, so very snowy, very Christmas adjacent in that way too.
We actually circled back nicely to what I was going to ask you. So I know with like Mills and Boon Medicals, there's a quartet coming out that everyone in the team is equally excited about because we love like a connected series. And it's called the Boston Christmas Miracles, which is a really cute series name. It's so sweet. And if you don't know us, Mills and Boon, especially the medical team, we love a Boston hospital setting. There's something really good about it, and I think it just gives people the same vibe as Grey's Anatomy, basically.
100%.
And obviously everyone on the team is a Grey's Anatomy enthusiast. So if you just like tell us a little about it, especially like Anne McIntosh's The Nurse's Holiday Swap, and A Puppy on 34th Ward by Juliette Hyland, Home Alone with the Children's Doctor by Traci Douglas, and A Surgeon's Christmas Baby by Deanne Anders, and why they're perfect. I was gonna spoil it, but it's not really a spoiler. They're retellings of classic Christmas movies. So just tell us more about that.
So I'm super excited to tell you. As Soraya said, we love the Boston setting. I think it is completely to do with kind of that Grey's Anatomy link. But I think also Boston Christmas, they feel kind of very synonymous with each other. But these are the two titles that I would love to talk about. So we've got two 2-in-1s. So first up we have got The Nurse's Holiday Swap and A Puppy on the 34th Ward, and then we've got Home Alone with the Children's Doctor, and then A Surgeon's Christmas Baby. So as Soraya said, they are all kind of loosely inspired by our favourite Christmas films. So I think it's something that readers are sure to love because there's a reason that these films are classics. And I think especially like I love the Nurse's Holiday Swap setting because there's nothing I love more than kind of someone at a festive time of the year who kind of decides enough is enough, I need a fresh start, and they find that fresh start with some festive love, which I think is my favourite thing to see play out. But also I think what I love about continuities the most, and what I hope you will love about this continuity as well, is not only watching kind of the main characters interact, but really feeling like you're part of this hospital and this world, because all the characters are either friends or they're related, so I feel like you really, you kind of feel like you're entering someone else's life when you're reading a continuity, which is so nice. And I think that's one of kind of the most magical things about it. And I feel like, there's nothing worse when you read a story and you're like, no, why is it over already? And you're like, either you need a sequel or you're like, I need like a 5-chapter long epilogue just so I can live with the happily ever after. So I think the real joy of continuity is that, as one story ends, another will start, but you'll get to see that happy ever after kind of unfold in the next story, which is super nice. And I feel like my favourite, and I'm biased just because I'm a big dog fan, but a Puppy on the 34th Ward. As you can see, we have an adorable pup on the cover.
I love a dog cover, by the way.
Me too. I feel like it just like melts my heart. It's like babies, dogs, cats, and in. I feel like they're all sure to kind of like captivate you, spellbind you. They're the perfect Christmas reads. So I don't want to give away too much. But also I would highly recommend if you hop over to the Milne and Boon blog. The authors themselves have kind of talked a bit about the process of writing the quartet. And I think it's really interesting because, writing a continuity is so different to writing a story by yourself, and kind of the collaborative process and how the stories develop together, but also like watching the authors get really excited together. So we will write kind of an outline of little suggestions for the authors to say like, we'd love to see this kind of story, but then we really kind of let them run with it. So it's really fun to watch them receive those ideas and then come back to us and be like, I've had this idea, I'd love to do this. I feel like we just give them a little starter, and then they're the ones who really bring the magic to life. So if you're looking for the perfect way to start your festive season, this is definitely the way to do it.
If you're feeling like a gaping hole from Grey's Anatomy, especially because we all know Grey's Anatomy loves to just put people through emotional trauma, these don't have that. It's fun, romantic vibes.
Like Grey's Anatomy is why I have trust issues. I'm like, it's amazing, but also it's hurt my heart a lot of times too.
I'm only on season 3, and I'm at that point where I'm like, I think I've had enough.
And
everyone's like, oh, that's just the beginning. I'm like, don't tell me that.
It's like, when you're like, you have so much ahead of you, and I don't know if you like it. But it was, I think, because there's so many series as well, so like you need like breathers just to kind of emotionally recover before you can like dive back in again, because it's a lot for your heart to handle. It's like, I'll describe Grey's Anatomy as, but amazing as well.
So if you ever need a break from emotional trauma from Grey's Anatomy, Milne and Boon Medical is here for you.
Sure.
Before we wrap up, do you want to talk about any other Christmas titles that you're excited for?
So firstly, I'm very excited to talk about one of my author's books, so Joanna Johnson. I think if you're a Bridgerton lover, then I would highly recommend reading Joanna Johnson, because to me she just writes perfect Regency romances.
It's a super Christmassy cover.
I love that, and I love a cape as well in a cover. Like, I feel like I would not want to live in Regency times, because obviously it was not as romantic as it actually seems, but I love the Christmas.
Whoever did her makeup though is a 10 out of 10 makeup
I would love
artist.
to go to like the makeup artists who do them and ask if they could do mine, and like make me feel like a princess for one day. But I think Jo just writes, like, she's just like a Regency magician. She's so good at them. She just incorporates all the elements that you want. You've got your dukes, you've got your earls, you've got your Cinderella herons, you've got your really strong herons who are not afraid to square up and tell the heroes what's what, which is what I like to see in a heroine. And this story is one of my favourites from her, but I feel like it's like picking a favourite child, because I love them all so much that it's kind of hard to pick just one. With this one, it's a really fun start. So our main characters, Juliette and Samuel, knew each other as children. They had a tumultuous friendship as children, so let's say that this is more of an enemies to lovers, and luckily when we meet at this point they're heading towards their lovers' direction. But when they are reunited, Juliette has just returned from Italy. She kind of grew up unfortunately kind of being the unwanted child in the village. No one really wants to be friends with her, and then she returns to Italy, and all of a surprise, as fickle as society can be, she's now the #1 gal in everyone's heart. Everyone wants her. Oh, how fickle the town can be. All it takes is a glow up, and then you're there. And so she has returned from Italy. She is back in England, and she ends up falling into a river. And who is her rescuer? None other than Samuel himself, who is now an earl. And this is where their reunion starts. And what's more, they get, because they're caught in a compromising position, they have to marry. There's no choice. And what unfolds is a inconvenient to convenient to the most utterly romantic marriage you have ever seen take place. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I feel like as I was reading this manuscript, whilst I was editing it, I was just like, I think I'm in love with this man.
Which is exactly what you want your author to do.
100%. And also I think that Julia, the character, like, you will fall in love with equally. And yeah, she's one of my favourite heroines that I've seen Jo write, but like all of her heroines are amazing, so it's hard to just pick one. But yeah, I think this is a story that you are sure to love. So yeah, please pick it up because it's fantastic. And then moving on from John Johnson and historical, we're going to move to contemporary romance and to Jackie Ashenden. And I know that Jackie is your author, so after I do a quick recap, I'm just going to actually talk about why Jackie is just an amazing author, because I feel like you will do more justice than I will. But yeah, this is His Innocent Unwrapped in Iceland by Jackie Ashenden. So yeah, it's got the Iceland setting, which is amazing, but also Jackie, she does sexy, angsty, emotional, she perfectly combines it, and it's just, she pulls it off so brilliantly. But in this story, Isla is jilted at the altar, and then she has no choice but to accept her enemy's ring, which is Orion, and they're in a luxury lodge in Iceland, and they get snowbound, and as we said, we love a snowbound story.
And this has got so much. This has got convenient marriage, snowbound, close proximity, and enemies to lovers technically, because they're like company competitors. So I love that for everyone involved.
It's it's a trope lover's dream. So if these are the tropes that you love, then this is the one for you. Just run to your local Smiths, your local Asda, go pick it up from the shelf. But I wanted to ask, even though I know this is my question, why you love Jackie's writing so much.
Oh my god, she just writes so I've only just started working with Jackie, but I'm already obsessed with her. And the only way I can describe it is she writes really good sexual animosity and emotional animosity, where it's underneath it is obviously love, but she's really good at packing in and packing in tension, and that's really hard to do in a 50,000 word book, because you have limited space to develop these two characters individually and together, and she's really good at simultaneously doing both. And as Hannah said before, she's really great at doing angst, she's really great at doing really strong emotional connections with her characters, and she's really good at I was going to say annoyance to lovers, but I feel like annoyance to lovers is more playful, and she's a little bit more serious. So I would say she's really good at doing enemies to lovers and making it different each time, and making it clear that them not liking each other is just surface level, because there's a real emotional and sexual attraction underneath it. And I was reading her last book, which won't be out until next year, sorry guys, and I was just I felt my whole body felt tense the whole way through reading it. I was just waiting for them to snap and give in to their desire for each other. And that's how you know someone writes a really good presents, because that was a good first draft, and it got even better afterwards. So
I feel that's such a good way to describe it, that waiting for that moment, it's gonna snap. It's like an elastic band where the tension is just getting more and more, and then it's gonna snap and it's all gonna turn, and the chemistry is gonna explode, and the happily ever after will not be far away. But I remember when I first started my job as an editorial assistant, and one of the first books I ever read was one of Jackie's Dares, and that's exactly how
so good.
I would if you as well as this book, I would highly recommend reading her Dare titles, and she did a motorbiking series, and my god, like
Yes.
you have to read it.
If you're looking for something steamy, like really steamy, go for Jackie Ashington's Dare books because they are they're so
And
good.
just like it's just like I feel like I can't put into words, like you just have to read her words instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would highly recommend reading not just her presents but her dad, because yeah, she's just a master.
So good.
So yeah, I would highly recommend. And yeah, that is our last book for today. But it's so nice, as I said, like we edit these books kind of a year to a year and a half ago, so it's so nice to be reminded of all the reasons why we love them so much and why we really hope that you will love them so much as well. So if any or all, as we hope, get you really excited, then the links are down below, so please feel free to purchase them because you will not regret it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us for our November reads. We're really excited to see you again in December. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.